So let's begin again. So we'll begin again. If you have the papers, Reish Daled. And the truth is, I woke up with this. I'm not saying I have holy dreams, but I just woke up with this in the pshat. And it seems this is the pshat. Okay, so he says, right? He said that there's two kinds of menucha. Menucha after toil, lower level, and menucha be'etzem, higher level, and that is bilti murgish. Again, bepashtas, when the menucha after toil, it's a dramatically different experience than your toil, and it's very felt. You toiled and labored, and now you're resting. The contrast couldn't be greater. But the menucha be'etzem is because it's an atmistic thing. It's not felt in that way. It's a state of being as opposed to an experience. The first one's an experience. Okay, that's the chiluk. Now, let's revisit this and be careful with the words, and it'll come out as follows. As Ephraim had pointed out yesterday, the vagam is the key. Let's see. Let's build this together. So Chazal say, there's two levels every Shabbos, Ma'ale the Shabbat, and V'yem the Shabbat. So far we got two. This Friday night and Shabbos day. Now it's clear that we're progressing to deeper levels. That's a given. So Ma'ale Shabbat, as explained this Friday night is we are offering to Hashem our avodah, our berurim that we did malamata lamayla. That's Friday night, and then the Shabbat, the Shabbos day is already Hashem's response, as it were, a higher gilim lamayla lamata. It's obviously higher and deeper, and not deeper but higher, because it's coming lamayla lamata. Now, so far we just got two coordinates. So far, put this on if you drew this, it's fairly simple. So you got Friday night and Shabbos day. Friday night is upward movement, Shabbos day is downward movement. Now as where it gets complex, it breaks into further detail than I had realized. And Beprati said each one, what's the echad mehem? Each one of them, hang on, morning and beyond. He said, Ephraim, where's your father? We haven't seen him last couple of days. He has. Okay, he's not on now. Maybe he comes a bit later. Okay. Oh, physically. Wow. Okay, so let's try and let's try and get this. So what did you say now? This is where it gets tricky. So again, starting off this Friday night, Shabbos day. Friday night is up, Shabbos day on the Maida Lamat. Now, who's the Chol Echad Mehem? This is Friday night and Shabbos day. Two inyonim. Both inyonim. So what are the both inyonim? You have to hit the six, I'm sorry. What are the both inyonim? There's both Maida Lamat and Mata Lamaila, both Friday night and Shabbos day. Ubechol echad mehem, and also in both of them, this is in Friday night and Shabbos day, is also menucha shachar yagia menucha be'etzem. Now at this point, I hope this is going to work out. We started off, obviously Friday night is not menucha be'etzem. Friday night is menucha shachar yagia. Shabbos day menucha be'etzem. So we've had the association, clearly, that in the aliyah malamata lamayla, that's not menucha be'etzem. Tamshach malamayla lamata is menucha be'etzem. Now he says that in each one of them, both Friday night and Shabbos day, are the two amshachas and the two menuchas. So now let's see. Shayidu evish bein tefillah the Shabbos, that's the Shabbos, because both night and day have tefillah and suda. And what's tefillah? Tefillah is aliyah malamata lamayla. Now here's where you have both in the tefillah, as you pointed out, the Friday, and in the suda both in yon. Not the tefillah and the suda separately. The tefillah is aliyah malamayla lamata, So that's already, this is where it gets tricky. That's not the tainug. It's not the tainug etzem. But the gamer also has the property of einik poshet. Tefillah has alim lamata lamay. So two tainugim, in other words. There's the lamata lamay level of tefillah, and that would be associated with the tainug murgish. But also the gamer einik poshet. So the only part that's a little tricky is because Friday night, the gam is secondary. The ikar of Friday night is aliyah malamayla lamat. But you also have in Friday night, in the tefillah Friday night, both in yonim of melamata lamayla, which would be associated with the low level of tainig, but also in tefillah einik poshet. And the same two properties on the Suda of both Friday night and Shabbos day. On the one hand, the Suda is a high inyan, that points to Tainig Atzmi, and it's also Einig Morgish. You're eating, enjoying the food, you're acquiring the Tainig from something outside of you. So therefore we have, they are both Friday night and Shabbos day. You have tefillah and suda. Yeshlam beis and yonim besuda tefillah. So what's the conclusion? So let's look at Friday night now. So Friday night you have what? You have tefillah. What's tefillah? Tefillah is aliyah lamata lamayla. We'll say tefillah Shabbos day. But let's talk about each one. Tefillah is aliyah lamata lamayla. There's also tainik poshet and tefillah. Friday night you also have a suda. Suda is amshochem lamayla lamata. Also, you're enjoying it, Tainig Murgish. So even though the overarching theme of Friday night is Malamata, Lamayla, and Tainug after Yigiyah, nonetheless, there is this aspect as well. Likewise, Shabbos day, overall, it's Amshacha, B'chlal, it's Amshacha Lamayla, Lamata. Shabbos day is a Tainug Atzmi, but you also have both in Yonim of Shabbos day. You have Tefillah, which is Aliyah, Malamata, Lamayla, wherein the Tainik Poshet exists, and you have the Suda Shabbos day, which is Amshach Lamayla Lamata and Tainik Poshet. So both in davening and in the Suda at both Tainugim. That's what comes out. It's not, I was thinking first of my Yetzirah, I was saying maybe there's an error here. But this is, first of all, that is arrogant beyond. Many people learned this, but error could creep in. But the fact is, this is mugger. I mean, there could be errors; it happens. But this is too. It's not a word. It's the same pattern. I'm completely off, completely missing it. So I've got to reset. Just b'chlal. When you have you don't understand something, and you know what you're reading is correct, but you just don't get it. Look for more problems. If you look for more problems, it's going to compel you to realize that there's some fundamental error, which is what I did basically. But then I woke up this morning first I realized the error that we just, okay, so Baruch Hashem, that's done. Okay, now he went on to say, notwithstanding the fact that both Friday night and Shabbos day, there is, because of in tefillah is the Tainik Poshet in tefillah, an aspect of it, notwithstanding the overall tefillah is Milamata Lamayla. There's also the Gam Einik Poshet, as he says. But the true Einik Poshet is Shalashudas. The true Einik Poshet is the Mashiach comes. But a taste of it is Shalashudas. That's why Shalashudas, the meal we don't eat. Because the eating part of it, that's the Tainik Murgish. You're enjoying the food, Bashikip Shuta, and Baruchnias, whatever eating means. But here you're not eating, and it's called the Suda. So it's pure, what? It's pure Tainuk. And that's Me'itcha Himenachasa. That's the Menucha Shlema Sha'ata Reitzaba. With you, with Atzmos, Atzmis Dike Tainuk. That's fully revealed when Mashiach comes. Okay, now we'll continue. Vav. Thank you all for your contribution. My apologies to the listeners over the last few days. We're in this together. I'm going to share with you something because I can't contain myself to share with you. This is before the Farbrengen Shabbos, or every time, but a mighty good thing I saw was sent to me as the Ksavyat Kodesh. I was interviewed in the Kvachabad for Gimel Tamas. It's a big edition. A lot of people have been interviewed. So I said what I said, and the author said to me, "Wow!" He sent me this back, which was really the theme what I was talking about. But I never knew this. The Rebbe had so written, and here's what it is. It was Chav Ches 7. What year it was? And the Mems, it doesn't say here. And when they wrote up the Farbrengen, the Rebbe added a footnote. A note. Where is it? Where is this guy? Shalom. And I'm sharing it because I just said we're all in this together. That's why it reminded me to share this with you. So they wrote like this. They wrote, it's a footnote. It's known that the Rebbe said it by the Farbrengen, and they put it in the footnote that the Tfidik Rebbe's Yisoid. It's also conveyed in his first name, Yosef. Yosef was Midas Yisoid. And this comes after the five midas of the Rabbeim before him. See Sefer HaSichos Tavshin Hey, where the Tfidik Rebbe makes that point. And then the Rebbe adds in his Ksavyat Kodesh, it's obvious that if the Tfidik Rebbe is Yisoid, so he's Malchus. That's what he writes. Ve'yashloima, that all, it's very small. Ve'yashloima, I think it's the entire generation, that all our generation, with the next generation, Yashlim Shakol Dereinu, Hanoshim, Noshim V'Taf, was Sfiras HaMalchus. What's Sfiras HaMalchus? All of us. Which embodies so powerfully, the thinking of Anosi HaKerl in the deepest way. It's a huge paradox. It's the ultimate bittul. It's us, not me. And yet it's the ultimate etzem because he's saying that his identity is we. It's all Klal Yisrael. It's both the smallest and the biggest. It's Malchus as this tremendous bittul, yet Malchus embodies the sovereign, essential I. Pnimius HaKes says Dafke Malchus. So our generation, the Rebbe wouldn't say, and so this Rebbe, I'm the Malchus. Because he couldn't say such a thing. But that's the truth. It's we. It's we. And this manifests itself so powerfully, post Gimel Tammuz. Before Gimel Tammuz was like the old model somewhat, the Rebbe and the Chassid, and he tells you. Now it's all one. You got to figure it out yourself, and you're not yourself. You're part of the collective we. If we have true unity in Bittul and Achdus and Avos Yisrael, we'll be mechaven to what has to be done in every situation. If there's true unity and true oneness and true Bittul, that's the whole Deir Shvi. That's the whole Kavanah B'riyas Olam, that this unity be revealed here on earth, all Yidden one with each other, one with the Eibishter, and all of creation reflect that. Okay. Welcome back to Rabbi as well. It's good to see you. Begashmius. Thank God you're looking well. We missed your presence, your physical presence, although we were very happy to see you every day on the Zoom, 3 o'clock in the morning in Los Angeles, in California. Having said all of this, so he said, Yetzias Mitzrayim isn't. This whole 2 levels of Shabbos of Tainuk correspond to Makiv HaRochik and Makiv HaKorev. Makiv HaKorev is Tainuk HaMurgish, is a Fel Tainuk. And Makiv HaRochik is an Atzmi, thing. So why did he go into this whole Shabbos analysis and depth? Because the Torah associates Shabbos intrinsically with Yetzias Mitzrayim, with Sfiras Oim, and with Matan Torah, as you brought in the Psukim. So now, and he said already, told us that Yitzias Mitzrayim is Makif HaKorov, and Matan Torah is the Amshach Atzmi Makif HaRoch. So haven't we said now about the different two levels of Menucha? You even have between Yitzias Mitzrayim and Matan Torah, understand the difference between Yitzias Mitzrayim and Matan Torah. And this is also matching up our jigsaw puzzle, skipping Medalek Alahorim is Yitzias Mitzrayim, the carpets, jumping, which you said the whole goof, the etzem, Makiv HaRochik, the whole body is lifted, moved. That is Matan Torah. Kel Deidi Deifik, the voice of my beloved, the Kol Prima, that inner voice that never ends, that call that never ends. So Yitzias Mitzrayim, Bechinas Medalek, Yitzias Mitzrayim is skipping. Matan Torah Bechinas Mekapetz, and Matan Torah, the voice of my beloved, skipping over the hills. I'm sorry, jumping. Did I say that right? Skipping and jumping. Even though it's revelations beyond creation completely, the question being kind of, but it's not. As you're going to explain, like the pasuk says first, the upshot, the mile of the Gil of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Very, very lofty. About its Mitzrayim, I will pass over, Hashem says, and how God says, Ani v'lei malach, I, not a malach, v'lei sodaf, v'lei shliach, v'lei acher, not an angel, not a sodaf, not a shliach, and no other. So it's inyan atzmi, v'avarti, I, nonetheless, mikomokim, kol agiluim, elo, all of these relations, what was the objective? Primarily, to push away and nullify the ra. And therefore, he'll explain the inherent limitation in this Gilui, since it has an agenda to destroy evil. Where do we see that Etzlo Kavana K'mishanemar, as the pasuk says, in Parshas Vaehי, in Parshas B'Shalach, V'yedu, and they will know, V'yed Mitzrayim will know, and V'yedu also means Lashon Shvira, they will know, it'll penetrate them so deeply that it breaks them up, breaks up the resistance. That's Yediyah. Yediyah is when you become one with that which you know, so you absorb it. So Mitzrayim absorbs this knowledge and therefore shatters their klippa. Now, the complete final bitl of the Ra was V'shas Markas B'chayres. That's when the pasuk says, I will pass over on the eye. So it's all associated. This vavarti anivalei malach, and as lofty as it is, it's all for the agenda of what? V'yodam Mitzrayim. The revelation that Yidden was, the revelation that Yidden got, it's all part of this agenda of Mitzrayim should know. So what are Yidden getting, and why? What's the revelation? They have to be protected from what Makas Mitzrayim. For something for this, I'll make a sign referring to the borod. A distinction. You didn't have to have a distinction in the Makas from the Mitzrayim. Or beyichud Makas B'chayres, and especially Makas B'chayres, which is why they have to stay inside and so on after the sign. Shavshin Nogav the Mitzrayim Yerofali, saw that at a time when the Egyptians are being smitten, the Yidden will be healed. They need a special protection. Nobody should go out. So all to say, as you're going to elaborate, that this is not a real atmistic gilui, it's an agenda gilui, and there are distinctions here, as opposed to Matan Torah. Now, in profound elaboration, the matter is as follows. Why was by Yitzias Mitzrayim? Why did it require such a lofty gilui? Hide in ishtalshalus. But Gamba said ishtalshalus amru. Even if Hashem would manifest, would say ishtalshalus, destroy Mitzrayim. About the state amru, our sages said when the Malachim protested Matan Torah, so Hashem and they protested creation. We learned. Hashem extended his small finger between them and burnt them, and that's Malchus. that small finger, the 10 fingers, the 10 spheres, the smallest finger is Malchus. So Malchus, that Atzilus, completely burned them, absorbed them, nullified the Malachim and their protest. Seeing, what do we see? When the Malachim experience something beyond Kotzev, means a set, gili that they can take, means cut literally. Butcher is called a katzev because he cuts the meat for you, just buy a behemoth. So it's a set cut amount. So whenever you have a gili that's beyond that a person contain, hagam shahoya gili that's boyaktana malchus, even though it was only relative to higher levels, only a very small gili, but higher than the malachim, the kamakim is battle. That was enough to take care of it. So to get to implode Mitzrayim, you have to have a gili of higher than shtalshalos. It's klippa. Any level of kedusha will do the job. It's a very simple, good question. Yeah. It has to be this transcendent. It's not atzmizdik, but it's still makif. It's transcendent. It's makif v'akora, but it's still makif. You mean asvidusu hamshachas hakesed? It's kesed. Ad b'chines kesed Yisraelia. The highest levels in kesed. In order to achieve the goal, in other words, a simple shaila, Mitzrayim is bad, and therefore it's enough to have them punished. You have to go beyond Bezdin Shamayla and a Gilu, hide and say it's not necessary. Ed's Buktan, it's enough. The answer is that whole Seder Shtalshus Sof Kosof is Gvul and can't do this, can't do what this will conclude. As he said, while striking Mitzrayim, healing the Yidden. So he goes on to say, once you cross that line into Hagbola, you're compromised. Now in the language of Kabbalah and Chassidus now. So let's try and understand it. So the reason is, in other words, like just a simple level. With your children, anybody, if you give it a reason for what you did, so once you give a reason, we have a very lofty reason. If you give a reason, it's already opening up for arguments, and I don't think will unravel. You have your reason, there's other reasons. There's no reason, completely beyond reason, there's no negotiation. Open that door a little bit. Just a piece of advice in general. It's very healthy relationship-wise, not to give reasons for. People expect you to do something, whatever. A simple thing in life, and just a simple example. Not this, my wife. You have to come, whatever it is, and you prevent it. It's a legitimate explanation for you. If you're going to say why, so that means that's more important than this. You're opening a whole debate, and you're compromised. If you leave it, I'm so sorry, we couldn't make it. Gamarno. They have nothing to. They might feel whatever, but they can't have anything that they're going to feel hurt by. You don't want to hurt them, because they're going to realize that whatever you had was more. It's like with the children, and many times it's just healthy this way. Apologize, I couldn't make it. Go and give an explanation. I was opening a debate, and that's in the kud over here. That the highest level of Ishtalshalos, it's a tam. A tam starts a debate. Mitzrayim, the Egyptian, the Yidden. That's the conclusion. But I was going to explain it up Kabbalah. So often the Maimon gives us a reason. The reason makes it much more complex. We understood it, and now a tam hole the fish because he wants it to be pneumius. You have to understand all the course in detail. So the reason is the fish about kav atzma yesh by mata. The kav, what's the kav? The kav is the projection of a likus of which all ishtalshalos is a point on, and it's the beginning of before. We know the story, right? The story before. How does Bria begin? In the beginning, this cryptic little description in the Eitzchayim, Ein Sof filled everything. Again, very cryptic, and what does it mean? It filled. There is something it filled. Whatever, but that's the simple, deceptively simple language. Ein Sof filled everything. Then the Eibishter removed his light to the side, made a makam cholol, and projected a kav. And that's in trend. A few brushstrokes, the whole ishtalshalos. So the kav begins the whole process. So the kav Atzma yesh ma'ilo mat. The kav has higher and lower. That's the whole point of it. It's to create a hierarchy of alikus and a sense of closeness and distance. Mitzad the makabel. So here's what it says in Kabbalah. This is quote 71 from Yitzchayim. The top of the kav is connected to the Igul HaGodol, to the Ein Sof, to use physical imagery, and the bottom is not. The bottom is in the Makam Chola, in the vacuum. So there's already higher and lower. The upper is connected, the lower is not connected. And this creates this whole template of upper and lower. I say Malchus, of all of the Olamis. They're all a product of the Kav. And the Kav essentially, at this most sublime level, the beginning connected and the projection is not, the Mata is not. Meaning, Olamis that are closer to its beginning, they're higher. And ones that are not so close are lower. And in creation in general. Now comes this subtle chiddush. We're going to look now at the highest worlds. All of them are kav, so they're all a result of a He's saying like this. Even the highest level, that's already Gilui. But because you're being produced by a Gilui that inherent in it is higher than lower, you're already compromised. Your highness is not Be'etzem highness. You're higher than this one. It's all relative. The Dveikus, which is the connection to the Ein Sof, at the beginning of the Kav, where it's first attached, doesn't illuminate B'Seifai. That's what creates the whole process of Ishtalshalus, and therefore at every level there's division, there's higher and lower. The very beginning, the Reishis is not Meir B'Saf. There's a division in the Kav itself. There's higher and lower. As he says, if the Kav at the outset, the Dveikus would be felt both at the beginning and the end, you wouldn't have this hierarchy. What does these words mean? If you say beginning and end, you're saying is higher and lower. How could there be Dveikus even at the end? Again, it means like this. What does end mean? End means gvul and beginning means bligvul. So from the perspective of Ishtalshalus, gvul is lower, distance, madreges, higher, closer, further. But be'etzem, gvul is not further. So the Eibishter, gvul is his equal manifestation like bligvul. That's what he means by if the end would be dovuk like the reishis, that'd be equally expressive of bligvul and gvul, he wouldn't have distance. You have these darkest, but it wouldn't be higher and lower. But it's not so. Right at the beginning of the kav, the inyan of the concept, the reality of higher and lower, closer and further is integral to the whole kav. When the kav begins to express, points, descent, in the world of the kav, we're going lower. We're going lower. We're not, as opposed to, we're now expressing Hashem's Koyach HaKavod. It's not what it's saying. It's we're getting further from Him. Lost on the kav is that this is atzmos. It's like the marshal the teacher gives to the talmidim. The teacher gives a marshal, and the more simple the marshal, the further it is from the seich. From the perspective of the makabel. Of course, from the teacher, all the details of the marshal are just, they don't conceal it all. They're the concept. But the kav is the world of the makabel. The kav is already the world of the student, getting the marshal. So there's sublime mishalim and there's not sublime mishalim, there's closer, there's further. But it's all this fundamental shift from pure elikus to the world of the perceiver, the recipient, higher, closer, etc. So all to say, the highest levels of Ishtalshalus, you've opened that door for Hakbala, for distance, then that cannot affect, as he concludes, Yitzias Mitzrayim. Let's continue as he continues this. Another example to make it further clear for us. No, did you finish this? If the dveikus at the beginning of the kav would illuminate the end, meaning the koyach hagvul would be experienced as elkus, just as bligvul is, you can't have a creation. Hashem wants a creation that feels separate and lower and lower and lower. If the koyach hagvul is going to carry with it all along, this is God, so that we're not having a creation, we're not having a dira b'tachtonim. He wants to have a tachton. The tachton means levels and levels till this world. But you want to have further elaboration. Mashin's brother was said in Siv Gimel, being chachma, bina. We see the same thing even in Ishtalshalos, the same pattern. What same pattern? Chachma atzma. Chachma itself, purely, cannot produce bina. Shir re'iyas hamahus, which sees the truth, it's absolute bittul. Yev shalis yisavas bina. There has to be a compromise in chachma. That's like the kav that has higher and lower. You cannot, at the time that the person has this epiphany, receives the truth, that's completely objective, subjectivity can't exist there. Analysis can't exist there. It's only after that moment recedes, behelim. And all you have is the conclusion. And now I've got to reconstruct and understand the conclusion. Then you get the intellectual given, and then the Havana can kick in and analyze, and it's your unique language. But the two fundamental worlds of objectivity and subjectivity. But the bligvul, this is relative bligvul. When that's going to illuminate, so you see the thing, which is the reishis hachachma. So in chachma, there's got to be a beginning and an end. That's the total picture of chachma. Just the reishis of chachma will not produce bina. Chachma has to have the experience, and then still within the world of chachma, it recedes, and I'm left with the hanacha. It's still part of the chachma thing, but that's the suf, that's the end of the chachma experience, which is not the giloin, but already some degree of concealment. And that can produce, therefore, bina. So that's like the kav. Beginning of chachma, end of the kav of chachma is the model for the kav. So the hoya la shaliyos. We did it again. When the beginning of chachma illuminates, it's impossible. It will not be possible the emergence of bina. Clear? Yeah. Likewise, the kav. To begin with, there's got to be in the package of the kav. The upper is connected, but the lower is not. It's already got to project this inyan of distance higher and closer, and that the lower level doesn't feel the closeness that the upper one does, the dveikus. So what's the conclusion of this? You can't make a real change mitzad the kav because it's compromised, and the olam is a hardcore hagbola. The kav can't change that because the kav itself is mugbal. The kav is the beginning is connected, but its end projection is not. That already concedes that there's going to be higher and lower. And if you concede higher and lower, then the lower says, "What are you changing me? You also have higher and lower. You're not bringing me anything that changes me. You have your argument, I have my argument. Yours is bigger, mine's smaller. It's all equally valid." Okay, we'll stop here and we'll continue this tomorrow. Revisit this a little bit. It's beautiful, and I hope we get it. Okay, we're getting the general idea. Yeah. Today's story.